Greetings, fellow mortals. Just a reminder saying it's just my opinion is for cowards. Did you know that I watch Shrek effectively 10 times every year? You might think that I'm some sort of superfan, but nope, I actually really do like the movie, but the reason it plays so often in my house is because my wife uses it during times of great stress. The burst of nostalgia from her childhood eases her worries and helps her battle insomnia, meaning at this point, I have probably seen every single scene of the movie more times than anyone other than the people who animated it.
And over and over and over and over.
Okay, Clay, I get the point.
No, you don't!
This might sound like a complaint, but the situation could be a lot worse. At least my wife's comfort film is actually good. She could have picked a lot worse. I've seen clips of more modern family and kids movies, and they are borderline unwatchable with how bad they are. I mean, look at the Emoji Movie, which I am now realizing came out before I started dating my wife. One second, what do you mean that movie is 8 years old? Anyway, because I've seen Shrek so many different times, I've dissected the film to even the smallest background details, and it made me appreciate how smart the movie actually is. Weird to say about a movie that starts with poop and fart jokes, but it is true. There's a reason that Shrek as a character and as a franchise has continued for so long despite so many different stumbles and becoming an outright meme, to the point that I've recently learned that there are intimate books inspired by the character.
Ew. Well, time to erase that forever.
If you want me to prove how smart the film actually is, just look at the very first scene. Shrek is going about his day, enjoying life and taking care of his land, finishing by putting up a warning sign and eating dinner. Meanwhile, an angry mob infiltrates his land. He shows absolute glee in terrifying them, but he doesn't hurt them at all, despite clearly being able to slaughter them all with ease. Shrek is shown to exclusively want to be left alone. The only joy he takes in scaring people is when they try to attack him. If someone is even neutral, he doesn't want to scare them, unlike a future installment which didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Does that make sense? Ladies and gentlemen, I am not making any sense. None of this makes sense.
The positive writing continues to the introduction of Donkey, who, while hilarious and good-natured, is shown to actually be very annoying. Not enough to warrant being sold or abused, but even as a kid, I realized that he would irritate me to no end, which is why it is completely relatable when Shrek becomes irritated with him within minutes of being followed and having his ear talked off. But because Donkey doesn't care that Shrek is an ogre, Shrek is willing to tolerate him being around, unlike the other fairy tale creatures who eventually invade his swamp, forcing him to go on his hero's journey.
Just get out of here, you stupid, dumb animal.
This leads into the introduction of Lord Farquaad, and I still can't believe they got away with that name, or an actual torture scene. The Gingerbread Man had his legs broken off and was being drowned. Yes, he's a cookie, but it's still surprisingly graphic. If there was a torture scene in a family movie nowadays, Gingy would have been tickled with a feather instead. And I feel like Farquaad's height wouldn't be a joke in the year of our Lord 2025, because he's technically a little person, meaning that he is not the ideal image of quote-unquote normal that he's portraying. Yes, that and his feelings of inferiority are obvious enough without the film needing to spell it out to you every 5 seconds. That way you can know the writers are good people. They really, really want you to know that they're good people.
I need you to tell me that I'm a good person. I know that I can be selfish and narcissistic and self-destructive, but underneath all that, deep down, I'm a good person.
And this is actually when the movie starts to reach its best humor, with the magic mirror dating game, with the entirety of entering Farquaad's kingdom, especially the Duloc dolls, which never fail to make me laugh no matter how many times I see them, leading into the pro wrestling parody, where Shrek is shown to not only try to avoid hurting people, but also that he can easily handle himself in a fight. All concluding with Shrek making a deal with Farquaad to rescue Princess Fiona in return for his swamp back, leading to the most iconic lines in the movie.
No! You dense,
irritating miniature beast of burden. Ogres are like onions. End of story. Bye-bye. See you later.
The casual brutality of Gingy's torment is brought back in full display at the dragon's castle, with scourge marks, skeletons, and cookbooks on knights telling the story in the background, making it known that the dragon is very, very dangerous, so much so that Shrek is easily tossed away and might have been killed if Dragon didn't immediately fall in love with Donkey, which is absolutely brilliant. Whoever writes a story about a female dragon falling in love with a much weaker creature is amazing and should be supported with money.
You must walk home naked, dragging behind you the stone of shame.
This leads into the introduction of Princess Fiona, who is instantly revealed to just be playing along with the fairy tale tropes, and she's floored by Shrek's mockery of how it's supposed to be done, having to save his quote-unquote noble seed more than he ever actually needed to save Fiona. They manage to escape by the skin of their teeth thanks to quick thinking and a lot of luck. And of course, Fiona is shocked to see that an ogre saved her, although her surprise is obviously due to something other than hatred for his kind.
Do not understand.
I do. I understood that reference.
Thus, the journey back to Duloc begins. At first, Fiona is forced along until she overhears Shrek voicing his insecurities, causing her to show more of her true character, exploding birds with her voice, kicking grown men across the face, pulling arrows out of butts, burping, farting, being crude and gross, which, you know what, makes sense that some of the royal manners would fade away after 23 years of solitude.
I said 3 days, not a week!
It was 3 days! I swear!
And in a few short days, Shrek and Fiona build a bond that's actually believable in that amount of time. You can see how they're attracted to each other and grow to care about each other, until the tail end of their journey, where Shrek overhears part of a conversation between Fiona and Donkey, where the princess is talking about her own disgust of turning into an ogre at night. Shrek thinks that she's disgusted by him, though. Their own internal hatred, mistrust, and inability to communicate properly lead to the low point of the film, and it works really well considering their backgrounds and their internal hatred.
Whoa, this is heavy. There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? What?
Luckily, Donkey is the one who managed to turn things around, starting a relationship with Dragon, who apparently followed them all this way, and calling out Shrek for being mean, even if Donkey is admittedly very, very annoying. They reconcile, admitting their own faults, and go to stop the wedding, where Shrek accepts Fiona whether she be human or ogre, and Dragon eats Farquaad alive, much to everyone in the kingdom's relief. And it's that casual 2001 brutality which is sorely missed in modern storytelling.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
And then the movie flashes forward to Shrek and Fiona's wedding, where there is a party and a song, which makes perfect sense considering that this is a wedding. But I have grown to hate this scene just a little bit, because this was the start of a common trope where movies just end with a dance-off when the writers don't know how to conclude the story they're writing. None of which comes close to Smash Mouth's Believer blaring during the happy ending, putting a full circle stamp on Shrek's solitude with All-Star at the beginning of the film. It works here, but not in many other places, including the sequels to this very film.
Don't try to talk me out of it. I'm sure it's completely... Nope, never again.
But why does Shrek as a movie work so perfectly? Well, one reason is that it's because it's perfectly written and paced. There's nothing you can take out from the film that doesn't make it slightly worse for not having it in it. At the same time, adding anything would make the movie far too long. Any adjustments at all would only make the film and what it's trying to be and achieve worse.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Another aspect is the voice cast and the animation. For a film filled to the brim with celebrities. The voices fit each character pretty perfectly, and the actors actually give their all in their roles. There isn't a second of phoning it in anywhere. Plus, this is an animated movie which used new technology in 2001, and it holds up shockingly well. Not everything looks great at all times, but the consistency and quality are there so that you never feel the uncanny valley effect while watching this.
Oh, I forgot how bad it looks.
I've seen worse.
There's also the humor. While the upfront jokes are great, there are a ton of gags in the background, and the movie doesn't care at all if you miss all of it. They don't linger for too long. You have a split second to get it before they move on. This makes multiple viewings a pleasure because you will notice something new that you didn't see last time. There's respect for the adults who took their kids to the theater, something that I'm sure a lot of parents wish existed now.
Getting kind of bored.
And finally, the overall themes. Accepting yourself, loving yourself, going against the grain, being different is great as long as you don't hurt other people. There are actual dwarves in this film, and they aren't mocked like Farquaad's height, because he's a cruel, terrible person with a Napoleon complex, which makes him, as a villain, absolutely hilarious, because he fits in well with the people that he persecutes. And the film is smart enough to let you figure that out without spelling it out to you, because the writers need you to know once again that they're good people. I get it. You're a good person. Stop ruining the films for me.
I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says.
It all adds up to a perfect storm, something that could never be duplicated or replicated. It's a parody that loves the source material, meaning it doesn't feel like it's disgusted with itself. It's a genuine love story. It's a movie full of innovation for the time. Even today, I want you to imagine this elevator pitch. Ugly ogre saves princess and falls in love. Even if it was in fact greenlit, they would have ruined it, starting with Fiona saving herself at the start and waiting outside the castle.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Yes, we all know that she could obviously do that from the start. That was the joke, the point. Her character arc was coming to terms with that she could be who she actually was instead of who the storybook said she should be. And that arc kind of would have fallen flat if she broke the quote-unquote storyline before Shrek even showed up. You know, that way she can develop as a character like Shrek and Donkey do. Who would have thought that would work and make a beloved character?
Oh, it's so obvious. I would have never thought of that.
I don't believe Shrek would have been nearly as good if it was made today, which makes me exceedingly worried for Shrek 5. Ignoring the Puss in Boots movies, Shrek is 2 for 2 in good movies, so maybe they should at least try to make this an above average film. No, we're just going to do slop? Oh, that's great. I absolutely love that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, welcome to the club, pal.
But what do you think? Does Shrek hold up as well as I think it does? Do you hate this film? Do you love it? Have the newer films and stolen tropes ruin the whole experience for you? Leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, if you disagree with everything I have to say, that is perfectly fine. After all, everyone is entitled to their objectively wrong opinion.
How does it feel to have lived long enough to see all of your favorite franchises go down in flames?
Feels great.
Thank you all so much for watching.
You're still here?
Good night, everybody. Thank you. You bye. Boom.
Do not despair.